himself. And you know, Yip did the first integrated and all-black shows on Broadway. Cabin in the Sky, one of the people in that play was a guy called Joe. And during the McCarthy era, Joe McCarthy said he was talking about Joseph Stalin or Joseph Lenin. I can't remember who it was. It's very inspiring to see all that Yip brought us, from Brother, Can You Spare a Dime to The Wizard of Oz. And you know, as people watch The Wizard of Oz every Thanksgiving, what's interesting is that remarkable production got more and more attention on television as he was blacklisted for many years, as many in Hollywood were, and had to use different names or couldn't work at all. And so, yes, I write about and am inspired by, and we did a special on Yip Harburg, and folks can go to our website and they can watch it and read it and listen to it.
And I got it completely wrong. It's in your most recent book, The Silenced...
I'm sure I referred to it in other ones.
The Silenced Majority. But I did want to ask you about this story in Breaking the Sound Barrier. Rumsfeld's Mount Misery. What is Mount Misery?
How much time do we have?
You have 2.5 minutes.
Oh boy, well that's a toughie. Well, Rumsfeld in 2003, you know, got this property in Eastern Maryland in St. Michael's, which is called, well, Frederick Douglass, the great abolitionist, was born in Eastern Maryland, and he was enslaved as a youth and a teenager. And he was enslaved by a man named Ed Covey, whose property was Mount Misery. Frederick Douglass headed north, started the North Star newspaper, saw media as his form of liberation, and changed the world. That property, Mount Misery, was bought by Donald Rumsfeld. And, you know, he was Secretary of Defense, and I went down there to the property to see if this could possibly be true. Went to an old black church down the road and asked the folks right before their Sunday service, you know, what do you think? Here you have, this was at the time of Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld, here you have Frederick Douglass, who was tortured here. What a historic place, but ultimately escaped and was the great abolitionist. And then you have Donald Rumsfeld owning that very property where he was held, who is actually known for torture, right? When you talk about Donald Rumsfeld, you talk about Guantanamo, you talk about Iraq, and I said, what do you think about this? And the woman in the church, the parishioner, said to me, I can't comment right now, we're in church.
Steve in Seattle, we just have a few minutes left with our guest.